Hello, friends, and welcome back to my channel. This is Aaronica from Aaronica Be Cool and Company, where, of course, my and company today is going to be the puppy, who, y'all, he is getting so big. We're going to say a prayer that he does not knock anything down or distract me in any kind of way, but today we are talking about what is going on in the sewing community when a brand decides to rebrand and in their rebranding completely omits plus size models. So if you're new here, I am a plus size advocate, obviously, because I am a plus size baddie myself. And part of that advocacy looks like helping brands build out their plus sizes. And sometimes it is also taking a look at what brands could be doing better. So today, obviously, we're talking about Daughter Judy patterns. And if you're like Daughter Judy patterns, like what is going on with there? So what we're going to do in today's video, in this investigative research, we're going to take a look at the Daughter Judy brand, what they used to be, what happened to get us here today, and just kind of what my thoughts are on that as someone who is an advocate in the plus size community. I am someone who really does enjoy Daughter Judy patterns. In fact, some of my favorite pants are from Daughter Judy. I've made the Daughter Judy coat trousers out of a fantastic leopard print, because y'all know leopard print and iridescent are my favorite colors, right? I have also done a lot of live sew-alongs for her things. In fact, when I went to get my double mastectomy done, I wore a Daughter Judy genre shirt dress so that I could be cute as well as really functional, because when you have the mastectomy done, you can't raise your arms over your head. And having a button-up situation is a lot easier, so that's what I wore. I have been a big supporter of Daughter Judy over the years. In fact, I was a paid subscriber to her Substack. And I actually feel like I've had some really great quality conversations with Chelsea, who owns Daughter Judy as well. And so I have been a really big cheerleader of the brand in the past. So I bring that up because I'm not doing this from a biased place of, oh, I don't like Chelsea. I don't like the Daughter Judy brand. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I really, really do like the brand. I love her drafting. I think that she does amazing products, right? So Daughter Judy was founded in 2022. And listen, I've got my handy dandy iPad over here because y'all know when I come with my research, we're ready. Okay. So it was started in 2022, and it was started by Chelsea Carson, like I said earlier. Now, Chelsea actually has a strong background in the fashion industry because she actually used to work with labels like Rachel Comey, A Piece Apart, Karen Callahan, Creatures of Comfort, and then she was also a production assistant at Ralph Lauren. So this is not something that's new to her. She's true to this game when it comes to pattern design, when it comes to the fashion industry, when it comes to all of this. In fact, she actually has a master's degree in pattern making from Milan, Italy. So when I tell you that I am someone who really believes in Chelsea, because and not to discredit myself when I say this, but she's not just like a home sewist who became a pattern designer, right? This is something that she went to school for. This is something that she studied for. This is something that she did the work behind in order to do and become an established pattern designer. And I feel like it's really reflected in the quality of her patterns as well. We see interesting dart placement from her that I don't see in other brands, including myself, right? We see a lot of an intentionality behind her designs. In fact, one of the beautiful things, and one of the things that I really loved about her kind of brand philosophy, which is to kind of infuse intentionality behind personal style and quality pattern drafting for the home sewist. I really also loved that from the start, I could always find my size in her patterns, right? And yes, in fact, I actually had to update my measurements yesterday. In the past year, I have dropped like 13 inches around my hips, which for me always placed me in the upper tiers of size sewing, right? I loved that I was always able to find my size in her size range. And that is something that is really important to me as a sewist, but also as a plus size advocate, because whenever I was doing or talking about patterns, I could always include her patterns in like a roundup or things like that, because she drafted and included plus size bodies in there, which I will forever be grateful for. Now, her brand is something that, or her brand representation was something that I loved and was really attractive to me because she didn't have a brand that looked like anybody else's out here in the home sewing world, right? Her brand was edgy. It was maximalist. It was, fluid. Like you could see the photos. In fact, I'm going to put a screenshot or, a video of kind of what her website looked like before this rebrand. It was edgy. It was really cool. Like her models looked like they were being photographed while they were in motion. And I loved that. Like the lighting was like really kitschy. It almost looked like you went to the club and everybody was dancing and having a great time. And then they flipped the lights on. You know how they do that last call at the club where, you know, you're sweaty and you've had a great time. And then you look around and you're like, wow, everybody here still was sweaty and having a great time with me. It was very modern. It was very interesting, you know. It was very much so giving like I am the cool girl brand, and we're here to have a good time. And I loved that about her brand specifically. In fact, that was something that really stood out to me because don't get me wrong, like I love the aesthetic that we have over at Made for Mermaids as well. But if I wanted only the aesthetic that I had at Made for Mermaids, then that's all I would sew. You know what I'm saying? I loved the differentiation that she had in her models. I loved the differentiation that she had in her photography and the representation of her patterns. To me, it really spoke to and gave permission to be edgier with the things that I made. But then this year in 2025, she decided that she wanted to rebrand in order to streamline the aesthetic. One of the things that she spoke to, in fact, let me pull up, I'm going to put up the Instagram post that she put up here, along with some of her reasoning behind going through this rebrand. So reading from her post that's on Instagram, and I'm sorry if you guys hear extra background noise. I don't understand why my neighbor is like driving around blasting music. Like the bass can be felt in my entire house. So my apologies if you can hear that. But from her post introducing this brand refresh, she says she's excited to share a brand refresh that's been in the work for many months. My goal was to streamline product and spin the vibes to be something that felt more me and holistic with future projects. Speaking directly to my plus size community, you have absolutely not been erased or forgotten. As mentioned, I wanted to reshoot all product and cost was high just for one size. Over the rest of the year, I will slowly reshoot on larger bodies and they will be added. I will speak more about this in a Substack post soon and be very transparent around the cost. The patterns will always be inclusive. I will never diverge from that mission. And this was on April 16th. Now on April 14th, 2 days before that, she kind of introduced like new patterns that she was dropping, including like a wrap skirt, a cardigan, a dress, as well as a weekender bag and stage brief for her Substack group. Now, that is literally the only mention that we have of the plus size issue. Okay. And that's it. Let me read to you what she said in her Substack post because I, again, am a subscriber to that as well. So in the Substack post that she referenced in that Instagram post, she released this on May 6th saying, reintroducing daughter Judy and why her brand name is actually Daughter Judy. It comes from the 1999 film Drive Me Crazy with Melissa Joan Hart and Adrienne Grenier. There was a side story about the two characters. One of the cool girls and one of the geeky guys were chatting online. Her screen name was Daughter Judy. Again, it was based off of the cool girl, which I feel like is an important piece to this because if you remember what I said about her aesthetic prior to this was very cool girl aesthetic. It was very, and I say cool girl loosely because I feel like what is deemed as being cool is really relative, right? Especially as we get older in age. But it was definitely different and I loved it. So now she's in this Substack post, she references why she wanted to do this brand refresh. She talks a lot about how she would be asked about where she'd gotten fabrics from like the original photos and stuff like that. And she didn't like that she wasn't able to send people to go get those fabrics. She references how she liked being able to talk to or partner with other brands, like fabric brands, so that way people could get the fabrics to recreate the looks. And she talks a lot about fonts. Okay, there was a lot about fonts and color palette. And then she also talked about how she wanted to make sure that she took photos that really spoke to the design lines of the actual garments. She talked about how a company actually did not work with home sewists or anything like that for this rebrand, and that they felt like it was fine for her to cut out the plus size community. And she did not really reference anything else as it pertains to like getting the plus sizes back in here, right? And as someone who has supported her in, let's see, I had my mastectomy in 2023, so I really started supporting her, I guess, a year into her journey, and now we're in 2025. So I feel like I could accurately say that I've been sewing her patterns essentially effectively since she came out. And I've enjoyed sewing her patterns. I think that her directions, her tutorials are pretty easy. I remember when there was a little bit of a snafu because someone had issues with the way that her waistbands were fitting. And they weren't actually big enough or for the actual sizes, and they didn't want to talk to her about it. And I remember talking to her through that and being like, don't take it personal. Like, just grow from this. Like, keep it moving. And if there's nothing to apply, or if you know because you tested each one of these patterns, and I got to be honest, like she was trained in Milan, Italy, not like Milan someplace else in the United States, right? So there have been conversations that we've had since that and everything like that. But here's what I will say. And it's not just the plus size community, because it's been a lot of straight sizes that are very disappointed with how she's handling this. Address why people are disappointed, right? One, this brand refresh, and let me talk about my personal opinion about this brand refresh. I looked at the brand refresh and I was like, meh. Like quite literally just meh. I don't feel like it actually speaks to daughter Judy from the movie that she referenced. And I feel like she refreshed to look like every other brand that was out there. There was something that was distinct and that defined her and that separated her from other brands. And that was not just her usage of edgy looking models, but it was her usage of fabrics. It was her usage of fluid movement. There were so many different things that really set her aside from other brands. Hello, Bear. Okay. And I think that's, I thought we were going to make it through the video and not have an interruption from Bear. Hello, sir. Yes, I love you too. I heard that you were arguing with your sisters. And so all of the things that really kind of made her unique, she got rid of. Like the font is now like a Garamond font. And it's like, okay, girl. Like, I guess. So the brand refresh to me isn't anything that was like so wow that, and unless she kind of happened to lose style as part of the brand refresh, I don't know. I do understand her wanting to be able to help people to recreate different things, because I do feel like it made for a lot of, we do see a lot of people who are wanting to recreate, but we have all of, okay, hold on. Okay, so she says that the brand who she worked with, or the company that she worked with to do her brand analysis, says that the previous daughter Judy branding was leaning youthful, while she was inspired by aesthetics that were more mature and heritage with a twist. So she wanted to go this route, which was mature and heritage. I don't see where the twist is, though. Again, that could just be me, but also, here's another part of the issue that we're seeing come up. She had two models that were straight size models. Two models that were straight size models. And inside of this Substack post where she shared about kind of the financial aspect and things like that, that she was navigating when it came time to do this rebrand. But instead of having one of them be a straight size model and then the other one be a plus size, she went with having two straight size models. And I think that that is where people are really looking to her and calling BS, right? We all know that things cost money. Like, that's obvious, right? And I love and respect that she's wanting to pay for this. And I love and respect that she wants to pay models and things like that. But even just looking at her website now and seeing how much it has changed, it looks like every other brand that's out there. It looks like it is just a basic brand. There is literally nothing special about this. And I think what's frustrating for me as a plus size body is that straight size people are, it's not all straight size people, but the reason why I was like, you know, let me ask my community if they're interested in my opinion on kind of what's going on here. And people were like, yes, we definitely want it. If your size is being seen represented, I don't know if you have a space to be like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. You're being represented. There are two models that are on this page. One of them is, she has longer brown hair. The other one has, and she's racially ambiguous. Like, she could be mixed. Like, she could be mixed with black and white. She could be mixed. Any kind of like person of color, which we love being able to see people of color. Love that for us. This situation, I suppose. But then there is also a white woman with short hair. Love that we have short hair representation, because I think that they're like, for a very long time, we equate having women with short hair with being masculine and not beautiful and not soft, not feminine. And I do see that she does seem to want to be this more feminine, like, brand that is like, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, guys, I'm not for it. So she has two standard size models out here representing the brand now. And she said standard size models. I do think that it just wasn't executed well. And because of the lack of addressing where the shortcomings are, because she has not mentioned it since that original post. Now, when the original post went live and people asked me about it, I was like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, these things are expensive, but I also had not had an opportunity to kind of deep dive down the website and see the decisions that she had made, right? Like, I'd only read the Instagram post like most people, and was like, yeah, I mean, she seems to have a plan. And I think that the original post actually said within the next 4 months that we would see the plus size bodies be represented. And now we are, let's see, now we are a month after the original announcement, and it has not been addressed again. I think that that's a problem. And she's saying that she hasn't forgotten about the plus sizes and that they will still be represented in the sizing, but no plus size body is being represented on this website so that we can actually see what it looks like on our plus size bodies. So why would we want to purchase that if we're still sitting here looking like, well, how is this going to look on me? You know what I mean? And I feel like that's very valid. And I feel like that's okay to desire to have that representation before making a choice, right? If we're only seeing straight sizes, we don't even have, like, we just don't have enough of that, enough reference to say, oh, yes, I want to see what this looks like, right? And yeah, of course, there are people, there are plus size bodies on Instagram and things like that that are tagging her or that she's sharing. But if she values paying, then I don't understand why she would be dependent upon the plus size community to have her back and to make these patterns and to give her the credibility that's needed in order for other plus size bodies to make purchases without payment, right? And I don't feel like that's fair. And I don't feel like that honors the work that the plus size community has done in making her patterns and sharing and tagging, because we don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, I am fairly certain I just shared like one of the things that I had made from her patterns, and I opted out of tagging her, opted out of tagging the brand as well as the pattern that I use, because again, if you value being a plus size body, if you value it in a way that you're waiting to pay for it, then you don't deserve to have the tags and things like that that are on social media without payment. And so that's how I feel about it. Am I like, oh, am I on this of cancel daughter Judy, Chelsea isn't worth anything, don't support. That is not how I feel about it, right? I don't really believe in the cancel culture. And the reason why is because I feel like with cancel culture, that means that they can't improve, right? I do believe in the call in culture. I do believe in the, hey, let me share how this is coming across, and you can choose to do with this information what you will. So let me be very clear when I say this. I am not saying that I am boycotting daughter Judy. I am not saying that I will never support her again. I am not saying anything like that. What I am saying, though, is that I have always been someone who's been very intentional about where I put my support, right? There is a reason why I no longer cover the pattern releases from the Big Five, right? One, they weren't releasing anything outside of like robes and like potato sacks for plus sizes any longer. So definitely not, gonna speak on them. But also I have, in fact, probably in about 2021, maybe around that time, maybe not, maybe soon earlier than that, like 2019, 2018, I remember I used to grade outside of the lines. And when I outside of the line, that if my size wasn't offered, I would still purchase the pattern and I would just simply essentially redraft the pattern so that my size was included. And I would follow their drafting lines in order to take a look at this is how I became a pattern designer. And I would essentially just make it inclusive for me. I feel like if a brand wants my money, then they will do their due diligence in one, making sure that plus size bodies are represented in their advertisements, right? And two, that they will make sure that plus size bodies are represented in their grade lines. I don't need for it to be drafted specifically for a plus size body. I just need the lines to be there, right? And the whole notion, or even the whole argument behind, oh, well, plus sizes need special drafting. I'm not someone who believes that. And the reason why is because we have hourglass plus size figures. We have pear-shaped plus size figures. We have apple-shaped plus size figures, just like we have hourglass standard sizes, apple standard sizes. We've got top heavy, bottom heavy, right? And so I feel like our due diligence as a person who is sewing and who knows our own measurements is to make those measurements fit within the pattern, right? The patterns are designed based off of a standard block. If that block happens to be your body shape, then you have less grading to do or less adjustments to do. If it's not, you got to make those adjustments. That's how I feel about it, right? But I do think that not prioritizing plus size, at least one plus size body, and having one plus size body and one standard size body is very much so a slap in the face to the plus size community, because from Jump Street, daughter Judy has made it seem as though plus size bodies were something that were a priority for her. But this rebrand or this brand refresh has said otherwise. We are not represented at all. And she opted to not even use the old photos. She was given that suggestion by many people. But again, we are in charge of our own brands. And I feel like the lack of movement and the lack of compromise that we're even seeing from Chelsea in this does kind of make me wonder, like, were plus size bodies part of the marketing scheme when she first came out to make it seem like she was size inclusive so that she would get that support from the plus size community? I don't know if you know this, but on average, the average size of the US woman is between a size 14 and a 16. So that is a plus size body, which means that we are a dominant field. Like, we are dominant in this sewing industry, and we should not be left out because we have a lot of money on the table. Well, so it almost feels like maybe it was just a marketing ploy so that she would garner that, that support. I don't know. I don't want to make it seem as though she had ill intentions, but I will say that it does leave me questioning what of her intentions were when she developed the sizing. Was it just so that she could showcase her ability to draft for plus size bodies on a different block? I'm not sure. So, I do feel like that leaves a lot open, right? Because, yeah, it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. Now, again, when she originally came out with it, I didn't care because I was like, whatever. From a business standpoint, I do understand that we can't always afford the changes that we want to make. Does that mean that we should have done a bit better with our monetary planning? Absolutely. But I also believe that she can make a comeback from this. Again, I'm not someone who is like, oh, canceled. That's not something that I believe in. I do believe that she can make some changes to come back from this in that reprioritization. But I will say that she's disappointed and hurt quite a few people. I will say that I'm also really happy to see that a lot of the disappointment is not just from the plus size community, right? The question was asked, because I did do a live on this on Instagram. The question was asked, like, will I be buying or making her patterns? I will not. Because again, I make my money talk for me. And if it wasn't important, if it wasn't a priority for her to have one plus size and one standard size, then I don't feel like it's a priority for me to go ahead and buy these new patterns or to continue to support until I see that she's supporting my community as well. How can she come back from this was another question that I was asked. I do think that instead of just making that one addressing of it and then not addressing it at all again in the Substack was not the greatest move. And I do think that she needs to have an open and honest conversation with her community about where she's going from here, giving specific timeframes and putting up the pictures of the previous plus size models. Brand refreshes can take time. I'm not like, this brand refresh for me, I wasn't like, oh man, that was fantastic. This was really great. Again, she just looks like an Anne Klein to me. She looks like an Ann Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not giving me cool girl aesthetic. It's not giving me wishful thinking. It's not making me wish that I could see myself in these patterns any longer. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. And I feel bad saying that because I probably wasn't going to buy these new patterns anyway because they just don't align with my aesthetic now. I probably identify myself as more of a maximalist, and I like to be able to, I don't know, like, and I haven't seen any of these new patterns on a bigger body, so I'm not going to be the first one. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Bear. Bear went and stole a very big one of my serger thread cones, and we had to grab that from him because he's already ruined one of my other ones that I just had to toss. Not sure what it is about thread that he loves. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I feel about that. That is what my thoughts are on it. I think that she can make a comeback. Am I open to hearing like her thought process behind it? Yes and no. I just feel like one of the things that I'm loving is that I love seeing all of these other designers that have been coming out with their different aesthetics, their different products, and lending support there as well. I feel like if we have to say, hey, please see us and please support us, then the site was never there and the acknowledgement was never there. I've never been a pick me. I've never been me, um, or give me attention. And because of that, I feel like if I have to say that now after we've shown support, the plus size community has shown the support, were we ever really seen? You know what I mean? Were we ever really acknowledged? Were we ever really catered to? So it is like, it is very much so like an it is what it is type of thing. I do wish her the best. I do hope that she does recover from this. I do hope that she does continue to kind of grow from this situation. I wish nothing but goodness for her and her brand. I will say that I'm going to take a step back from my outward support of it as well. Um, because I don't really like for people to play in my face, and that's what this feels like. So anyway, that's it. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on the whole daughter Judy situation. If you feel passionately about it, if you don't. I know that a lot of standard sized bodies are like, well, I don't agree with calling for her head. Well, I don't agree for calling for her head. I do agree with calling for accountability. Um, so yeah, I'm interested to know what your thoughts are as well. So let's start a little bit of discourse in the comment section. And if you have not already, please make sure that you have gone ahead and liked, subscribed, and turned on the notifications for the next time that I share my thoughts, as well as when I do my sew-alongs and things like that. We have a sew-along coming. It will be for either the bow polo, which I have heard that you guys want to see, or a like little top and bottom athletic suit. I have decided that I'm going to be returning to working out in public. I'm someone who can be a little anxious, and I don't really I'm a sweaty person. I don't love working out in front of people, but my daughter, who is 15, is like, well, mommy, I didn't get a job this summer, so we can hang out for the summer. And Planet Fitness is like teens work out for free during the summer. So I told her that we could go and join Planet Fitness and work out together. So that is what I'm doing. But all of my workout stuff does not fit any longer. So all of it is a little too big. And I am thinking about going ahead and taking these things in and making them work or just making new. So I haven't fully decided on that. But we will be doing a sew along for a top and bottom athletic set as well. So with that, I will catch you all in the comments, and happy sewing.